Hi and welcome back to another CCC Moment with IELTS. My name is Greg, and today we're going to do something a little different but a little similar too. For the first two episodes we looked at pie charts and then line graphs. Well, what happens if you get both of them in the same assignment? How do you handle them? Here's one such case, and I'll show you that really these kinds of assignments are rather easy. On the one hand, you do one at a time, and at the end you try to find something common to both of them. You don't always have to write a great conclusion, but sometimes if you read them carefully and if you have a little bit of background, you can say something kind of informative. Okay, let's start off by doing what we always do, is stating what the graphs are. Now you have to do two introductory sentences, one for each. So the first one here, we have some pie charts. These are home-cooked meals from 1970 to 2000 for a given family. And these blue represents the number of the amount of money of the household budget spent on restaurant meals. And you can see there's a strong progression. So what you would say, for example, is the pie charts show the change in the household budget spent on home-cooked meals versus restaurant meals. Over the periods over the 4 decades of 70, 80, 90, and 2000, there was a considerable change. There was a 500% increase. As you can see, in 1970, 10% of the budget was spent on restaurant meals. That rose 50% to 15% by 1980. However, after 1980, the restaurant meal budget really took off, more than doubling to 35%. That 35% became 50%, almost a 50% increase, not quite. So we have a 50%, 100%, 50% increase. So by the time of 2000, half of the household food budget is spent on eating out. The line graph, on the other hand, shows where that eating out took place. From the 70 to 2000 versus the number of meals per year on the y-axis, we can see that fast food meals and sit-down meals were pretty much the same around 1970, at about 20 per year. The sit-down meals rose more or less in a slow arc until they ended up around, let's say, 42 per year by 2000. So we're looking at about a doubling over 40 years. Now you notice that there's a slightly different history to the takeout meals. Fast food meals grew a little less sharply until about 1980. Then there was a steep increase to about 50 meals per year by 1990. And you can see here where the sit-down meals and the restaurant meals were even at about 35. So this happened, let us say sometime around 1981 or so. It doesn't have to be exact. And after 90, the increase became even steeper. As you can see, the slope increased from this to this. So by 2000, we had 80 meals per year. So over this entire period, the fast food meals rose from 20 to 80 per year. That's a 400% increase. Now, you can stop there. But you notice something interesting. Sometimes when you get graphs like this, it's nice to try to compare them. So we have from 1980 to 1990. This is the big jump. So the question you would have to ask yourself, you might want to ask yourself, why during this period did fast food dining out jumped so much? Well, if you have a sense of history, and you notice what happened during the 1980s and 1990s, you know that there were probably more people having to work to support a family. It was a period of conspicuous consumption, but it meant that more people had to work, so there was less time to cook. So that's why home-cooked meals were falling considerably. It was still a majority, but it was falling fast. At this same time also, you find that fast food meals are generally less expensive than restaurant meals. So you might infer that from 1980 to 1990, the economy was more difficult for most people. Most people had less money to spend on food, but they also had less time to make it. So the rise in fast food eating probably indicates that the average household income was falling, that there wasn't as much money to spend on restaurant meals as there used to be. So by looking here and seeing that the percentage of budget on eating out is increasing, probably because there's less time to cook. So this is because there's less time. And here, the rise in fast food is because there's probably less disposable income. So less time, less income, times are getting tougher for people. Now remember, in the conclusion, you may draw your own inferences. You may come to your own conclusions. You may shape the information for the person you're writing for. And this is why these are always a bit of fun to do, because you can maybe find something interesting to say to combine them in a useful way. Even though they may not be absolutely comparable, they may be similar in some way. Okay, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.